Welcome to the Ruckus Room. I'm here today with Miss Melissa, and we're going to be talking about neurological resets. And I just did a show with her, which is very relevant to this subject, a few weeks ago, and it was talking about surviving basically through post-traumatic stress syndromes, narcissistic abuse, things that can trigger your body into a constant flight mode, which makes your brain a little foggy and everything. And after that show, I really wanted to get with her on neurological resets and why they're so important for your body and for your brain to be able to settle down and kind of get into a safe mode. So thank you for coming on today because I know you have a lot of experience in this. And I wanted to see what you do with this and your spirit guides and practices on how we can calm the brain essentially. I thought I'd be able to pick your brain a little bit on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first off, I have to thank you for coming to Spiritual 411, my podcast, and doing that interview on narcissistic abuse and integrated energy therapy and how that really helped you to move forward. And, your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system and your nervous system are all intertwined. It's all one system, and it goes right up into your brain, into the pineal gland. And yes, when you're in fight or flight, that whole system is on overdrive. It's like hyper aware. You're hyper aware of everything around you. You're hyper aware of threat. You're just on this alert. And when you're sustaining that and you're in this cortisol spike and you're staying in a spike, then it's really having detrimental effect on all of the other systems in your body. Now, I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just telling you what I've learned over my years of research that I've done on this, in that this is also the system that is the antenna to your spirit guides or to your divine, your intuition. And so I've been doing also on my podcast, I've been going deep diving into your nervous system and into this whole area, because when you're not regulating, when you're staying in fight or flight, you're in overdrive and you're not aware of the things that are going on around you in your life. You're missing out on simple things because you're not able to be in the present moment. So the other thing with this is a lot of people in fight and flight who have been abused, are living in trauma, they get addicted to that cortisol spike. They get addicted to that adrenaline hitting their system, and because they don't realize that that's not normal. Unfortunately, that has become their normal. And when they're not feeling those spikes, they think something's wrong. So they keep putting themselves in these fear-based situations to get that spike, to basically get that fix of cortisol or adrenaline or adrenaline. And so this is why it's so important to regulate your nervous system through practices that bring you out of fight and flight. And it's also helping you to heal your organs and the other systems in your body to relax. A lot of people who are in traumatic situations and stress all the time, being in a relaxing mode almost triggers them, because it's like something's wrong if I'm relaxing because I'm so used to being in that heightened situation or heightened feeling. So that's where we have to start becoming self-aware of, where am I in my sympathetic nervous system or in my nervous system? Where is my nervous system? Because only then can you start making the changes.
So the people that are in those cycles now, what kind of practices would you recommend that they start small to try to get their body out of this flight mode into a calmer setting, how they could do this for themselves at home?
There's several different things. And I think those were the practices you were talking about that I gave you in my podcast when we had our conversation,
Yeah.
because you were saying I kept doing the practices you gave me. So this is a great segue into that, because there are several things you can do for yourself that are non-medication. If you're someone that really does struggle with trauma or PTSD or narcissistic abuse, definitely talking to a medical provider can help you. But in addition to that, some practices that you can really do on your own that can help you regulate your nervous system are things like putting in your earbuds when you have a minute, or even during sleep, and listening to Hertz music or Hertz sounds. And you can do anything from 432 Hertz all the way up to 939 Hertz. YouTube videos are out there. All you have to do is plug in HRTZ in the search bar on YouTube, and you'll come all kinds of different frequencies and different meditative music, basically, is what it is. But you can use that to really help to regulate your nervous system. And it doesn't matter what number you choose, whatever one you resonate with, because you're going to resonate with the one that is going to help you. The
Well,
other practice,
uh, yeah. Oh, no, I was just going to say, I know the guided meditations were another one that you had us do besides the hurt music. And when you fall asleep to it, that actually really helped me.
well, you can do guided meditations for sure. And that was my next, I was going to go to meditations actually. So, yes, meditations, whether you're doing a walking meditation or a grounding meditation or a guided meditation. You know, a lot of people struggle with just sitting in silence because we are so overstimulated that it's hard to calm your brain down. And until you get into a practice of meditation, many people, myself included, it's easier for me to sit and listen to a clock tick or water drip or a guided meditation. So, yes, meditation is one of the best ways to calm your nervous system down. And meditation can be doing the dishes. Meditation can be taking a walk. Meditation doesn't have to be sitting somewhere doing nothing. It's just about being present with whatever you're doing, especially if it's rhythmic. Folding laundry can be meditative. You know, anything that just kind of takes you out of the mental mind that's just taking off on itself, that's keeping your nervous system on overdrive.
I felt like sometimes this kind of segue back into what you're talking about when you're in these moments of fight or flight and you're constantly on these high cortisol, even simple tasks like doing the laundry, your head's spinning on totally things like, oh my God, is he coming home now? Oh my God, I forgot to do this. What if I don't do this? Is he going to yell at me? And it was kind of like the littlest joys that I used to have were taken from me. And I always had to, until I had my own space, I was going through that. And until I think it's good too to get space. You got to create space between you and whatever trauma, or you and whatever person you're dealing with, until to start getting on that healing journey. I mean, that's super important. It's hard to do this when you are cohabitating with somebody. I feel. I don't know, for the people you
And
talk
to be
to, is
honest with
that
you, I think one of the best things you can do, especially if you're cohabitating with someone that's making it hard for you to have a minute for yourself, go sit in your car. You know, drive to Walmart and sit in the parking lot and meditate. Like, you know, make the space in your life, because that is going to be so instrumental in helping you to get clear on what it is you're even going through. You know, when you're in an abusive situation, you're 9 times out of 10, it didn't start out that way. It started out with you, and it, you know, I use the analogy of the frog in the water, right? Like, you're the frog in the water, and they're slowly turning the heat up, and you don't even realize you're starting to boil, right? So you get to that point and you can't function. You're not thinking straight, you're not sleeping, you're probably not eating, you're all over the place, you're in chaos, your cortisol spiked most of the time, and you don't even realize how bad your situation is. And starting to do these practices can actually bring your nervous system down to a place where you can start to really get in touch with what is going on in your life, and looking at the chaos that you're living in, or the chaos that has been created that you were very unaware of until you started to become aware.
I wanted to ask you, because this kind of ties into also when we were talking about narcissistic abuse. Uh, People say the word narcissistic, or narcissist, and people's eyes just roll, because it's like, is that even really a thing? Like there's kind of a stigma around it. I feel like not everybody who's just a jerk is a narcissist. There's actual characteristics of a narcissist. And can you explain for everybody what you have worked through and found to be a true narcissist?
Absolutely. So, because again, yes, has it become an overused? It can become an overused phrase for sure. Is it a diagnosis that your psychiatrist, medical provider can dole out? Absolutely. So, narcissism is a very detrimental personality disorder. Again, I'm not a medical doctor giving medical advice, but I'm just going to give you what I've learned. There are two types. There's the overt narcissist, who is like the spoiled person that just will not let anybody have anything around them. And it's all about themselves. They're totally selfish. And if it's not about them, it's not okay. The problem then becomes, and those people are pretty generally mild. I mean, it might not be somebody you want to be in a relationship with, but, for the most part, they're more harmless. It's the covert narcissist that is the narcissistic abuse. Covert narcissism is when you have someone who comes at you very charming, very amenable, very personable. Everybody likes them. They help everybody around them. But behind closed doors, that's when they show their true colors, when that mask comes off. And now, if it's not about them, if they're not getting their own way, they get mean, they get nasty, they get abusive. And it's a cycle. And the cycle is, you know, not showing their true colors, being the charming person. Then you get into the cycle of the mask coming off and them revealing themselves. Then you get to the next part of the cycle, which is all about disconnecting from you, really making you feel like you're nothing to them. And then once they get to that point with you, now they want to pull you back in. And now they're going to be sweet as pie, and they're going to be making all the promises. And it's this destructive pattern that so many men and women get caught in because they fell in love with that person who was absolutely their dream, absolutely their prince or princess charming. And now they can't reconcile that the person who they are now in a relationship with, who the mask is off and it's never going back on, that this person who loved them so much could hurt them so deeply.
I
And
think the
that's the
hardest
abuse.
part of some Yeah, and the hardest part about something is the love bombing stage, you fall in love with that person because you think that person's capable of being that person. And then after the mask comes off, like you said, and either months or years of trauma where you start to realize, yeah, this isn't right. This is not, I deserve better than this. It takes sometimes it takes years to figure it out. And then trying to escape it is a whole other thing because like you said, you're kind of addicted to that high cortisol level. You're addicted to fighting with that person, and it's just this vicious cycle that takes a lot to get out of, as you know, the people that you've worked with.
And
Yep.
that's what's so sad about it, because there's still a part of them that is still waiting for the person they fell in love with. That person who was who they had always dreamed of. And to really accept that that person's never coming back, it's a grieving process, and it's very, very difficult, because as much trauma as they've caused them, as much hurt and pain that they've put them through, and sometimes they've bankrupted them. We're talking financial instability, we're talking, lost
Wow.
any kind of stability, and they're still looking for that person they fell in love with, because that love bombing stage can be so magnetizing that it's hard to believe that that can't ever be back, or they can't ever get that back.
So a lot of people that come to you, including myself at one point in time, they come to you pretty much broken and not themselves, and then your job
It's
is
so
to help them
true.
get that. Yeah, the IET and the sessions to help kind of clear out. That was my next question. Like, how do you clear out the energy when you're in this mental brain fog and you're just bringing in all this bad stuff from being in a toxic relationship like this? How energetically does that affect you?
Oh my gosh, it's such a heavy energy. And
Yeah.
that's what's the brutal part of this, and that's why I actually did a video called Dark Empath, because these covert narcissists typically have a very well developed clairsentience where they can feel what you're feeling, so they're going to use that against you. And so that's the other dynamic of this. It's like, well, nobody's ever known me like this person, and it's because of their clairsentience and able to be able to read that other person's energy that they're using that against them to manipulate them. And so, yes, we need to
Oh.
break that trauma bond, honestly. And that's what the angels come in to do with integrated energy therapy. They come in and they start to separate those energies for you so that you can start clearly seeing, feeling, and knowing what is yours and then what is the other person's, what the trauma bond was. So you can start to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and really empower yourself and love yourself. That self-love piece is so important because 90% of the men and women who come to me who are in this situation, they don't love themselves enough because they've been giving all of their love to the other person, thinking that that person's going to love them just as much. And that's never going to be the case.
So when people come to you now, how do the spirit guys or loved ones come through to help these people when they're like this? Have you ever experienced that? Like where they actually come through and say, I told her not to be with him, blah, blah, blah. I
Well, they
wonder what
don't
they
do
say from the
that,
other
but
side.
yes. So the angels that I work with in integrated energy therapy, they actually pull out the trauma and layer by layer, they release the threat, the resentment that you're carrying, the abandonment issue that has kept you tied to this person, right? So all of those, they empower you. They help to empower you. So that releasing helps you to be able to, again, get clear and be able to now step into your own power. Your crossed over loved ones will come in with messages for sure. If you've got a grandparent or a parent or anybody that wants to come through with a message, yes, I will deliver messages in integrated energy therapy sessions. But mostly I'm working with the archangels with integrated energy therapy, and then any archangels that you're personally working with will come through, and then any ascended masters that want to come through or that are directly working with you. So it can be a very full room.
I was going to say, do the spirits kind of tell you when or indicate when someone's ready for a reset?
Um, Well, I ask people not to have sessions more than 3 weeks apart because the integration period needs to happen. Because when I start working with people who are really ready not to feel this way anymore, like they just want to go, go, go. And unfortunately, it is going to be a little bit of a process to really get you to where you want to be. And it's going to be at least 6 to 12 months. So that's why I do packages 3 months, 6 months, or the coaching sessions, which are 9 sessions in 6 months. So it is going to be a process. And, is it going to take years as much as you've been through? No, but it is going to take longer than, a couple of months, unfortunately. But so I like people to give themselves 3 to 4 weeks between sessions to get that integration piece so they can really feel what was released and really let go of anything that they need to let go of that's coming up, because sometimes things will come up after a session that is you're purging, you're letting go of. And some people they don't get that. Everybody's experience is so individual, but whatever the experience is going to be for you, you are going to release and transmute those negative energies that you have embodied and have been attached to you by these negative forces, whether it's narcissistic abuse or anything else that you've been through in your life. I do a lot of PTSD as well. And especially law enforcement or military, they're really holding on to some heavy stuff too.
Which is crazy because I don't think people understand either. When you start getting to these IET sessions, my first few sessions for the first few months, it physically affected me. I was nauseous. I had headaches. I was extremely tired at the whole next day, maybe 48 hours after an IET session. And it took several months of that before I could have a session with you and not feel like that. I don't know if it affects everybody like that. Like you said, everyone's different, but I don't know if anybody else has been affected physically by your sessions in the beginning.
Yes, unfortunately, I did a distant session with another actually person from your area in Florida, the state of Florida, and she called me after the session. She's like, "Oh my God, Melissa, was I supposed to?" She literally vomited the whole hour,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
like,
It's like,
"Oh
it's
my
like
gosh,
your
I've never had
body's
anybody have
purging.
that happen." Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I actually just did a session recently where the woman, she her whole body shook or vibrated the whole session. Yeah. Yeah, the energy
So,
is, we don't recognize how powerful um energy is in our lives, whether it's energy we're exchanging with other people or just our own energetic makeup.
so the IET sessions is literally clearing your energy field of whatever you're going through and trying to get rid of the toxic stuff.
Absolutely. And especially for those people who have come in and with the purpose of clearing generational trauma. It really does help those folks out energetically to let go of not only their stuff, but the stuff they came in to clear for their family lineage.
So, well, with all of that, I'm going to let at the end today to have everyone talk about your IET sessions and how they can get a hold of you to do stuff like that. And as far as the tools that you can use besides Hertz music and meditation, breath work is so important. And what else would you recommend that people do? I know
So breath
touching
work.
grass and
Yeah.
hugging a tree,
Always, always.
yoga. I don't know
No,
what else.
yeah, seriously, you're saying it. But yeah, breath work, one of the big things that I have taught or used for people is box breathing, especially if you're someone that deals with anxiety or you get really anxious in certain situations.
What
Box
is
breathing
that?
is so beneficial. So you basically inhale for 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts, you release for 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts, you inhale for 4 counts, you
Oh,
hold for
wow.
4 counts, you release for 4 counts, and you hold for 4 counts. And you're going to do this 10 sets of 10. So you'll do it 10 times and then you'll do another set of 10. And I would say do it at least 3 times. So you're doing 3 sets of 10 to really calm down your sympathetic nervous system.
Well, that's really cool. Well, before you leave today, would you like to pull a collective card? I
Yeah,
kind of
it was
want to
actually
see. Go ahead. I know a lot has changed since last time you're on the show, so
absolutely.
maybe we're moving in a positive direction. There is a full moon tonight, so who knows? Anything's possible.
Oh, look at, oh, so you seriously, for those of you who don't know, you can go to at Melissa L. Watkins on YouTube, and I actually dropped today a tutu and full moon effect long form video. But for all of us here tonight, the tree of life, travel on, travel on. It is time. It is time to move forward in our lives. It is time to get creative in our lives. It is time to not be held back by anything that we've been holding on to or carrying for a very long time. So, this tree of life is all about growing in a new direction and really allowing yourself to co create your reality. And so, really leaning into the nudges of your heart, the inspiration that's coming through you, any synchronicities that you're experiencing, and really taking it seriously, not discounting it. This is the time to now move into this new field of allowing things to come into your life. And so, um, those of you that have felt like it hasn't been your turn, or you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, we are coming into a time now where things are going to start showing up. But you've got to start trusting and believing and acting on what is coming through for you.
I love the little one in the background. Well, thank you
It's
so
Granddaddy.
much for joining us tonight. I know. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I'm so excited we got to touch a little bit. This you could dive really deep into this stuff. This is just surface level, where maybe someone could take this information and use it, or say, "Hey, I'm going through something similar. Maybe I should try this," or maybe I am with somebody who is not a good fit for me, and start looking at signs and things like that. So everyone tune in tomorrow night. You're having Tarot Tuesday, right?
Yes. So at
Everyone
Melissa
can
L.
see you on your
Watkins
website.
on Facebook. I will be doing Tarot Tuesday at 7 p.m.
And if go to her website, everybody, if you want an
Eastern
IET
Standard
session,
Time.
the prices are on there, and you can book sessions and everything to spend a lovely evening with Miss Melissa. Well, thank you so much. We'll
Oh,
see
I
you in a few
appreciate it,
weeks.
Chrissy. Thank you.
Have a good night,
Oh, awesome.
everybody.
Sounds good. Have a beautiful rest of your night.